break after this. I just wanted to get a good picture of everybody. So before you get your coffees, will you all just gather at the back of the balcony? So pull off and I'll take a photo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce myself and my colleague here. I'm David Campbell from Albatern. We're a wave energy company from Scotland, and I'll tell you a little bit more about us later. And we have partnered with AquaBioTech to look at a Mediterranean basin combination of aquaculture and wave energy. So the project overview is really to start the ball rolling with a Pathfinder project to provide an integrated offshore fish farm using on-site sustainable power. So using the power that is in the waves on the site. So we're really looking at a co-location to be able to use the resources that are available close to our farm to provide its power rather than using existing diesel. So it's a combination of that cage-based fish culture and the wave energy resource that's available. And the main focus is around that offshore cage culture and providing a power source for it to be able to look at growth which is likely to take place around the Mediterranean basin in locations that are further offshore and have access to waves. So combining really combination of space use. It's not stacking things in exactly the same sea space, but it's co-locating things, and we'll come and look at the advantages of doing that. So it's really working in partnership. Some of the other talks this morning have come from single companies combining different technologies, but we're combining two different aspects. One, the location and the market knowledge of AquaBioTech, and secondly, what we're doing in wave energy, which has largely been based in Scotland, with a view to doing that in other suitable places. So just a little bit of background on Albatern. We're based near Edinburgh in Scotland. We've carried out technology development since 2007 in terms of building up a concept and then building prototypes that we've tank tested, but also done a lot of work with in-water testing, both with models, and then in 2012 a prototype, and I'll cover that in a little bit more detail when we move on to the next slide. But we have a team really that is built up of engineers, starting with an understanding of the waves and the energy within the waves, how that's converted then into or captured in a mechanical device that transfers that into hydraulics, and then from the hydraulics and using hydraulic pressure to drive a hydraulic motor and generator set to produce DC electricity. So we're actually rectifying on the back of these generators, and then how we can combine that around the array so that we can have a single off-take cable either to go to shore or, in the case of the aquaculture site, to go on to the point of supply on the aquaculture barge. So there's quite a lot in that whole chain, and this presentation isn't designed to go into that, but if anybody is interested, I'd be more than happy to take them through the detail of how we do it. The current Series 6 units that we're working with, we've started at smaller scale. It's easier to handle, it's more capital efficient to actually get started, and they're really suitable for, not so much for grid markets, which is where we intend to go to in the longer term with devices and with arrays that have a lower cost of energy, but there are markets where there is a higher cost of energy in remote communities and also in offshore platforms where currently diesel is being used at a much higher cost. And we have also put links in place to look at these niche opportunities within Europe, in Scotland, in Ireland, in the Mediterranean, and also in the ASEAN countries, where actually staggeringly of 600 million people, 170 million have no electricity at all. Albatern, in terms of technology development, after all the lab testing and tank testing, the initial prototype went to sea in 2012. From April to November, and reliably produced power in a relatively sheltered site throughout. The picture that you see there is actually a trial that we carried out with Marine Harvest for 14 weeks before fish arrived in a new open water site that they had. And we're at the very exciting stage. The cables went in last weekend, just before I travelled over here, of a Pathfinder project on another Marine Harvest Scotland site which has fish in it, so it's a real operating site. And the real target in that one is the day that the first check arrives from our customer for the electricity that we've produced for them. So that's Albatern, and I introduced Gareth Lawrence from AquaBioTech just to give you an overview of AquaBioTech as a company.
Good morning. I think a lot of you guys have heard about us. Basically, AquaBioTech is a technology and service provider specifically focused on the aquaculture industry and research and development of technology surrounding that. We're based in Malta. We've got our own private wet lab research facility there. It's the biggest private research facility of its kind in Europe, where we conduct feed trials and pharmaceutical trials for aquaculture-focused suppliers, big feed companies, big vaccine producers, that type of thing. The other aspect of the business, which is why I'm here, is obviously a bit of European Commission research work, and then we do a lot of consulting and then engineering and design work specifically focused at the aquaculture industry. We also have facilities to do marine surveying and a couple of other sort of add-ons like that. Basically, you can sort of see that slide really sums up what we do really, really nicely. Pretty much the aquaculture consultancy, recirculating aquaculture RAS, focus mainly on research facilities and hatcheries, and then that obviously leads nicely onto the research. We've got a combined team of about 30 specialists in Malta, growing daily, and yeah, if you need any input, give us a shout.
So moving on to the project that we are working with Maribe to take forward, we're looking at the island of Malta, which is keen to look at its use of space and particularly looking at aquaculture. And the block that we're looking at is actually the red block to the east of Malta, which is about 6 kilometres offshore. So that's our target area to put a fish farm site in with the cage system and also to have the wave energy available. And that is really, in many ways, actually combining the two and using what might potentially be a buffer zone for keeping people clear of the area to actually make use of that space. There is interest from a commercial developer for a new site for sea bream and sea bass in this area, and that's likely to get political support within the Maltese jurisdiction. And AquaBioTech have the local connections that can ensure that we are coming in from outside the country able to understand how to work with that particularly well. And power would be supplied on site, so we're not trying to take cables 6 kilometres here. We're actually using the waves and a short cable to the site and co-locating on the same site. So in terms of where we go from there, that's really the first stage. That Pathfinder project would then potentially lead on to a second project to provide power onshore, so closer to shore, not so much 6 miles offshore, but actually potentially I think round on that southeast corner. It would actually be closer to the shore, a good wave climate, but providing power for onshore fish processing in the operations facility. And while that may sound quite challenging, the actual cost of power in Malta is very high because they're bringing in diesel or fuel oil from off the island and running that through a generator. Their generation capacity is relatively constrained at the moment. So actually, as you become a larger power user, you end up paying progressively more and more for electricity. And the top rates are actually quite attractive for what we would look at in wave energy, particularly as we get higher volume. And then we'd look to take that Pathfinder and roll it out to further offshore sites around the Mediterranean basin, based on analysis and contacts that AquaBioTech have within that jurisdiction. And it also would give us the additional opportunity to look at providing some additional power for the island of Malta and reduce its dependence on the fossil fuels that they're currently using in a way that potentially doesn't damage the tourist industry in the same way that large wind turbines frequently cause a problem. And there is also a further option, and we're not going to spend a huge amount of time talking about it, but it's something that we are finding in a lot of islands. If we're working with high pressure hydraulics, we can actually go directly to water and potable water rather than producing electricity for driving a desalination plant, which just means that you're going through a lot more stages in the same train to provide another usable output. The project drivers are really the alternative to diesel power, where costs have risen significantly. Apart from feed for your fish and the staffing cost, it's the next biggest cost. So it's been getting a lot more attention from the farming community. The offshore sites have more logistic challenges to getting the diesel out there. It's not just a case of a short run. In the site that I showed you earlier in 2014, they actually send the boat ashore from the fish farm site to the port, load it up with diesel and bring it back again. So that's a full day of 3 people plus a boat committed to refueling diesel. And many of these costs are not completely understood by the users. So that's part of our job as well. And there is an opportunity here because sustainable fish is actually more valuable to the supermarkets because they can sell it to us as customers at a premium price. In the longer term, that premium will reduce, but in the short term, it gives us more opportunity to look at the opportunities for margin creation whilst costs are still relatively high. And on the Maltese part completely, then the power and water limitations are both, and costs of energy are relevant. The project history has, and this is more to do with how we've engaged with Maribe. The idea to develop a project has been in the background as we discussed and worked with AquaBioTech before, and we worked with them on an FP7 bid back around 2011. So somebody did make the point that partnerships are well made where there's been an element of building up mutual trust over a period. And that also allows us to use the network in Malta to look at the development of a supply chain, because we don't want to take tubes that we manufacture in Scotland and take them all the way to Malta. It would be better to have components that we can source locally, do the assembly locally, and then deploy to site. So the impact of Maribe has been to provide a catalyst to take the project really by the scruff of the neck and say, let's actually move this forward towards development. It's given us a structured basis and a consistent basis to see it ranked around other projects. It has enabled us to take forward the marketing and the market assessment from AquaBioTech's knowledge of the situation to actually get wave climate data, look at that in terms of yield, and actually take the project forward and get it closer to financial close. And I think one of the other benefits that we've seen is that it's given us an opportunity to showcase the project to yourselves and to a much wider audience within the Commission teams and an investor group. And that was really one of the outcomes that came through from the advisory session, where we were able to get independent expertise from the Maribe group members and also the panel members that gave us a feel of where we were in financial readiness terms. And from our point of view, it was very pleasing that people actually thought we were further on than we are. But that feedback, as others have said, has been very helpful to us. And that enables us to take things forward, identify the gaps that we still need to bridge to actually get to a finished and a funded project. And I think the networking is not to be underestimated. We've been able to spend time with many people in the room, share problems, share challenges, and very often solutions come from looking around the edge of a problem, not by knocking your head off it all the time. So future actions, we've now got some of those. We're looking to pursue a Blue Growth 4 funding for the project. The local development of the plan, so actually getting those hooks and those links developed locally in Malta, developing the local supply chain, getting the project to funding close, delivering it, and then moving on to the future milestones that we set out earlier. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you to Maribe and the team there for all the help that they've given us. And those pictures are really showing our 6-unit array on the left-hand side on commissioning work in Scotland last year, and that's the array that is actually being commissioned in a real site in Scotland at the moment. And we want to take that to Malta and beyond. Thank you very much.
I've got 2 questions for you. First of all, could you describe your business model that's going to come out of this? You're going to produce wave energy supply aquaculture farms, cages, is that correct?
That's correct. In effect, what we're doing is working in a joint venture with AquaBioTech, where they're bringing the knowledge of cages and the farming system, and we bring the power, and then actually we're providing that as a service to the aquaculture company.
But this was determined in the Maribe business modelling. This wasn't originally planned, but after negotiation and discussion with the team, this emerged. Is that correct?
And that's correct, because I think in the model that we've seen emerging from the early stages, in higher risk situations, it's actually very difficult to sell a technology to a customer that doesn't have any track record in which to build it. I liken that to if I'm Marine Harvest Finance Director in Norway, and in Waltz is the Scottish Finance Director, and says, I want to buy this fantastic new product, it's got no track record, it's a 20-year capex spend, can I have the money? The answer is no, because actually they can't even get capex budget for existing technologies that they know can work. So the original models in terms of initial engagement and reducing risk for customers is actually a power purchase agreement, where there is a rental stream. They basically pay for the electricity that they use, and we're carrying the financing risk and the production risk in those early projects, which can be done because the early devices have actually been built using R&D funding. So actually we don't really want to sell them either, because that would have grant clawback issues. So in those early stages we need to transition. As people get more experience and confidence, we build up the track record that will actually underpin a move towards more of a device and array selling model, where costs at the operating stage can then be shared within the overall development. And this Maltese business model is effectively ourselves and AquaBioTech taking the risk of the site and the wave energy piece and providing that on a rentalised basis to the fish farm.
Questions? Oh.
Can I ask a follow-on question about the business model? From an investment perspective, how do you find investors look at a model that's we're going to own the hardware and sell electricity versus a model that's we're planning to sell the technology? Is there a difference there?
There is a difference, because effectively in the first business model you are a project developer as well. And it's then, I think though there is an understanding in the investment community, and a very clear understanding, the two questions that they ask in terms of funding Albatern as a company is, can you show me proof that the device works, and can you show me your customers? So in order to get to that point, our existing investors are happy, and indeed support agencies in terms of public funding and public contribution to it are also happy that we go on a route that is a transition from higher risk, lower risk to customers, to building confidence, at which point more risk can transfer across. So it is an evolving business model, it's not one that sits still.
I've just got one more question. Could you comment on the financial analysis process? How difficult was it to finalise your figures with Mike? Because I think there was a lot of toing and froing between the commercial, first of all, which is for the advisory session, but then the pilot afterwards. And Norman, of course, yes.
Yes, I think Norman and I had some long sessions, including one when I fell asleep because I was just off a plane from a long way away. So my apologies again to Norman for that. Some of the issues that are involved were actually how can we establish correctly what the costs of energy are, the yield, and some of that has to be best guess until we carry out more diligence work on the wave climate and actually look at the performance that we get on the current devices and actually validate our power matrix and what we get out of it. And then within the business model or the financial model, how do you then transfer those costs or recognise those costs within a joined up whole? So those were some of the challenges that we had there. And I think as we move towards refining the model for financial close, we probably need to simplify some of that so that it's easier for investors to follow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to have a coffee break, followed by the next series of presentations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be certainly something. Surrounding services. Yeah, I think we're yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense from the way we're really doing yes. No, I can see that. You seem very confident.
What is Gordon's brother's name?
Tony.
Tony.
Yeah.
Tony. I hadn't seen him since last March.
Yeah. Oh, did you? You met him at the kickoff meeting, did you?
I met him at the kickoff meeting.
Okay, I was kind of thinking nobody would know him, so I was surprised when you asked. That explains it. Marianne. Sorry. Baz has your boarding pass.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
I'm actually thinking of 45 right now.
You're going now?
Well, I need to
Do you guys need a taxi? I can get one for you. Just
Yeah.
let me know what
What
time.
time do you leave? That's what I mean.
4 o'clock.
No, but I mean the taxi from here.
Well, as long as it takes for it to get you.
How long does it take you to get you here?
Oh, to get from the base, like they normally come within 15 minutes, depending on how
From here to
busy
the
they are.
airport.
But from here to the airport, you've got about a 20 to 30 minutes, depending on the traffic. I'd give myself 30 minutes, but it'll probably take 20.
Yeah, I've got lots of time, so but I prefer to get to the airport earlier, and then I've got some work that I can really do.
Yeah, but so what time do you take? Because I can either go with you, I go with the other guys, so it doesn't.
Yeah, well, if she calls a taxi now, it'll be
In 15 minutes.
Oh, you're leaving now?
Yeah, I'm thinking
Okay.
So-
Oh, that's really early.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of work that I need
Okay,
to
yeah. No, then I'll go with the other guys.
I will give
I'll just
you-
tell Sander would ask.
Perfect, yeah, do. Let me just see, I think I have a number here. Yes. Do you want to call from my phone?
If you
Because
don't
it's going to
mind,
be a lot
because I
cheaper
don't,
for
yeah.
me to do it than for you. 021. Will you, will you dial it in and then you can call it back to me? So it's 021
821.
437
Yeah.
1111.
Very similar to English dialing codes.
1111. Right?
Yeah, cool.
So you want to,
The airports.
as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Hi, I was just wondering if I could get a taxi from the Maribe Centre on the Hallbowlen Road. Yeah, not National Maritime College, the next one over, the UCC building. Yeah, it's the Maribe one, it's just before the bridge. Yeah. They're going to the airport. It's Gareth Lawrence. There's a receptionist there, yeah. Perfect, okay, and just as soon as possible, thank you.
Cool.
Perfect,
Thanks
on the
so
way.
much.
Oh,
So it
another
shouldn't take
one
too long.
for us?
Yeah.
3:15.
3:15, okay. Yeah. How many of you? Enough for a car? That's fine, yeah.
And also in front of the building.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, I was just on to you there. Can I actually book another taxi as well? It's for the Maribe Centre again. Yeah, yeah. And so it's the UCC building on the Hallbowlen Road, just past the National Maritime College. Hi, I just wanted to book a taxi from the Maribe Centre, the Beaufort building on the Hallbowlen Road. So it's for 3:15 to the airport. Yeah, one for now and one for 3:15. Yeah. So it's Marianne Stryver?
Yeah. Can you make it 3 o'clock? Just
Oh,
make it, sorry,
sorry,
3
actually
o'clock.
for 3 o'clock
3
altogether.
o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks a million.
Good, 3 o'clock.
Brilliant. Thank you.
That's
Bye.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye on it if you want, so because I'll see it coming in the back.
Grab a coffee
And just go, yeah. And if there's any problem and they haven't arrived in 15 or 20 minutes, just tell Grania that Noreen booked one for you, and she'll give them a call just in case.
Thanks very much.
No problem. Hey, how are you?
Did people from FAO came in the end?
They did. There's Raymond is here. Do you want me to introduce?
Why not? Just, do you know if they're here?
Yeah, we like to be our partners are actually based in Rome.
Well, I was just interested to see because I wasn't. When you have training with people,
Oh, I'm sure we will. We're very
Yeah, good on you. Feeling tired this morning?
I don't want to actually.
No, really.
That Danish thing when I put on snooze.
Then I just thought,
You move out of it over. That's what you need. No.